Welcome to today's webinar, Sustainability, Key Takeaways from a Campbell Institute member organization. During today's presentation, attendees will be in a listen-only mode. To ensure that you can see all of the content for the event, please maximize your event window. To also maximize your slide view, click on the Scale button located in the upper right area of the window above the slides so that it shows as 100%. If during the program you would like to submit a question, please use the chat pod located in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. Type your question in the box at the bottom and click Send. If you have technical difficulties, you may contact the Help Desk at 877-297-2901. Now I'll turn it over to Joy Inouye. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Janet. And welcome everyone to today's webinar on sustainability, key takeaways from a Campbell Institute member organization. As our Beacon Live moderator was saying, my name is Joy Inouye, and I am the research associate for the Campbell Institute, which means that I get to do some really great research projects with our Campbell Institute members and partners. Today we're going to be looking at one of the more recent research papers that we put together in the last few years on sustainability. And I am joined today by my co-presenter, Al Zucco. He is from the USG Corporation, which is a leading manufacturer of high-performance building systems and technologies. We probably are all familiar with USG and have them in our homes and in our office buildings. Let me introduce you to Al real quickly. Al Zucco is Vice President of Supply Chain and Sustainability at USG in Chicago. And during his 30-year career with USG, Al has held numerous leadership roles in the areas of manufacturing, strategic sourcing and supply chain management, environmental, product safety, and sustainability, as well as positions in manufacturing engineering, production management, and plant management. And in his current role as Vice President of Sustainable Supply Chain, this really capitalizes on his extensive background and experience. So we are just really pleased today, well, I'm really pleased today to have him as a co-presenter, and we're going to run through this research that we did a few years ago on sustainability, and Al's going to give us some more detail into what USG is doing in their sustainability efforts. So you will hear from both of us today on this presentation. Go ahead with getting started here. And just to give you a quick introduction to the National Safety Council, if you are not aware of us, the National Safety Council is a 106-year-old nonprofit organization, and we started in workplace safety but have since expanded to other areas of safety in everyday life. This is what you see here, our latest mission statement, which is to eliminate preventable deaths within our lifetime. And the way we are going to do this and accomplish this mission is to focus on those areas where the most preventable deaths occur. And this would be, of course, in our workplace, and that is the focus of today's webinar, although we do also touch upon these other areas as well, so home and community, and also on our roadways. So if you're interested in finding out more about NSC, you can always visit us at nsc.org. Now to tell you a little bit about the Campbell Institute. The Campbell Institute is the EHS Center of Excellence at the National Safety Council. USG is one of our very honored members of the Campbell Institute. Now our vision is to be the trusted source for protecting people and preserving the planet. Our mission at the Campbell Institute is to help organizations achieve and also sustain that EHS excellence. And the reason why we do this is because we believe that protecting people and preserving the planet are just those integral pieces to business excellence. I turn to this next slide here so you can see who the members and partners are of the Campbell Institute. You'll notice USG's logo there. We're very proud to have all of these member organizations as part of the Campbell Institute, and we are always adding more. Our membership is vetted to look for that excellence in EHS, and if you're interested in finding out more about membership, you can always visit us at thecampbellinstitute.org to find out more. All right, so let's, without further ado, let's get into the topic of today, which is sustainability. And why sustainability? Well, sustainability has evolved to be that leading indicator of business performance. We have found that companies that invest in sustainable practices have outperformed the general stock market by 25% since 2005. A lot of that might be due to things like favorable company reputation and enhanced brand image. We also had a study that came out with the Campbell Institute that found that Institute companies reported saving $11 billion through programs for environmental sustainability, which is money that can often be reinvested into things like business operations. Researchers have also found that investment in safety and sustainable practices yields those tangible, quantifiable returns, and also intangible things like reputation and brand. So in other words, safety really is sustainability. When we looked at this topic a few years ago, and we looked at the sustainability practices of several Campbell Institute organizations, and we found these 5 commonalities among them. And we're going to talk about these in turn during this presentation. The first of those commonalities is defining sustainability according to a triple bottom line approach. You might often hear it as people and a planet and profit. That might be one way to do it. But we found that that was very common among Campbell Institute organizations. The second commonality was using standard and recognized reports to report on sustainability. The third was expressing the need for more and also better metrics when it comes to calculating that return for sustainability efforts. This is something that our Institute organizations still struggle with a little bit. The fourth is to find more ways to correlate environmental sustainability with occupational safety. And the fifth was to develop aspirational yet also attainable sustainability goals. So we're going to be looking at all 5 of these commonalities as we go through the presentation, and Al will be able to give some very pointed and detailed examples on what USG is doing in each of these areas. Okay, so the first thing here is the definition of sustainability. And the definitions of sustainability at Institute organizations really follow that triple bottom line approach of people, planet, and profit. Or, as mentioned on this slide, community, environment, and business. So for our Campbell Institute organizations, building a sustainable business means protecting the workforce, giving back to the community, and ensuring a world where business can continue, at the same time as providing value to customers and stakeholders. We have some great examples of this kind of triple bottom line approach from our Campbell Institute members, but I'm going to let Al talk about how USG defines sustainability.
Thanks, Joy. At USG, we define sustainability as balancing economic, environmental, and social factors to guide business decisions, creating long-term value for the corporation, our stakeholders, and society. At USG, sustainability really means building in harmony. We're really committed to products that are in sync with the environment and the communities in which they are designed, manufactured, distributed, and ultimately used. Next slide, Joy.
All right. Yeah, this kind of forward-thinking with sustainability is something that's in common among our Campbell companies as well. A lot of them mention things like tomorrow's world and their missions of sustainability. And so these are kind of some captures of some quotes from some of our Campbell members when it comes to their sustainability mission statements. So ensuring the needs of the future and looking to what we leave to tomorrow's world. And USG does something very similar as well.
Yes. Here you see our sustainability vision and mission statements that we have. And our overall vision for sustainability is that we'll be the recognized leader in sustainable manufacturing through the proper balance of economic, environmental, and social factors to create long-term value for the corporation, our stakeholders, and society. So really incorporating how we define sustainability here at USG. And then our mission, we define our mission as from the product formulations we choose to the processes we employ, USG is committed to products that are designed, manufactured, distributed, and used in a sustainable way and minimize overall environmental impact.
Right. Thank you, Al.
Yes.
Another thing, when we come to talking about sustainability initiatives, and Al was just talking about like the mission statements and how to develop these initiatives. The thing that we found in common with Campbell Institute organizations is that their sustainability efforts typically began either as a top-down initiative from senior leadership, such as internal directives from a CEO or a C-suite, or as a response to clients' or shareholders' desire for better policies and transparencies. So kind of there's this internal drive and external drive. Sometimes it was a combination of the two. And either way requires this kind of internal discussion and involvement from multiple stakeholding departments. And this is something that has also happened at USG.
Yes, that's correct. At USG, we spent a lot of time and we developed our sustainability strategy. We were a sustainable corporation long before we defined our sustainability strategy and called it sustainability. But our leadership from the CEO on down was absolutely committed to sustainability as a fundamental way we operate our business. As Joy mentioned, I think she mentioned that USG is responsible for inventing the modern wallboard manufacturing process. Ever since we developed that back in the early 1900s, efforts have been made to reduce the weight and the water consumption of our products and to introduce products that facilitate clean and healthy indoor spaces. In fact, in the last decade, we've enhanced our sustainability story by expanding our plant and distribution networks, moving them closer to the markets, and making them more efficient. So what you see on this slide is our grand vision for sustainability. We believe the three ambitious goals that you see on this slide, net zero energy, zero emissions, and being the clear sustainable solutions provider, we believe those are truly a grand vision and they're ambitious goals that represent our future. You imagine if USG having the most sustainable products that are possibly made. Imagine all of our facilities having zero emissions, no emissions whatsoever. Imagine manufacturing products without fossil fuels. I think that's a pretty ambitious goal. You may think I have lost my mind, but think about our first-in-class safety performance. Our safety performance, it started with a vision of eliminating all injuries. And we have world-class safety performance. The relentless pursuit of perfection in safety made us the best in the industry. A relentless pursuit of all these goals can really create tremendous value while doing what's right for the environment.
Yeah, I think it's a really great point that you make, Al, that, maybe a lot of people, when it first came to safety, thought it was crazy to shoot for a goal of zero, right? But so many organizations have achieved that, and so why not think the same way for sustainability? So yeah, I think this is really great that USG has set forth this vision, and I don't think you're crazy, Al. I think we can do it.
I think we can too.
Right. Great. Another thing that we looked at in our paper on sustainability was to also take a look at how sustainability is positioned within the organization. And what we found was that it varied quite a bit from Campbell organization to organization, but there were some similarities that existed. Because sustainability is a relatively new initiative compared to, say, the safety function that we were just talking about. It's common to see sustainability as positioned as a department that is separate, but oftentimes on par with or equal with the safety department. Both safety and sustainability may report to the same entity, and this type of arrangement can help to give more visibility and weight to the sustainability initiatives. That's just a kind of overall summary, but Al can tell you a little bit about how sustainability is positioned at USG.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, USG, as far as organizational positioning, right now sustainability is part of our overall supply chain, which is involved in all of the raw materials, anyway, the whole value chain of producing raw materials and shipping to our customers. So it really is in that scope of responsibility for our organization. But you know, there obviously companies look at it a lot of different ways, and you can have it report to different areas. But I think overall, having that focus on sustainability is what's really important. What you see on this slide is, you know, we also wanted to just talk about a little bit about the reporting that we do on sustainability. And USG, we publish a corporate social responsibility or corporate sustainability report. We publish one of those every other year approximately. We've been doing that. There's a lot of resources required to produce a report every year, so we have adopted a every other year report. So we'll be working on our next report soon. But we feel it's very important to be transparent and provide information to our customers and all of our key stakeholders. When we made our first sustainability report, we patterned it on GRI when we developed it. I think you're going to talk about that a little bit on the next slide.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Part of what we did with this research on sustainability, you know, we were asking our Campbell organizations how they try to benchmark with others and figure out, you know, where they need to be as far as when it comes to reporting on their sustainability performance. And what we found is that our Campbell orgs typically use the Global Reporting Initiative, or GRI, guidelines as the baseline for their sustainability reporting, and oftentimes going beyond those standards to include other measures that are of material interest to their organization or to their stakeholders. Also, some of our Campbell Institute organizations are listed on the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, which is a recognized global sustainability benchmark. And even other companies also report to CDP, formerly the Climate Disclosure Project. And that's an international nonprofit organization that works with companies to disclose environmental information. You know, and a lot of our Institute organizations, they adhere to these standards to gain recognition for their sustainability work and also to continually improve their efforts through benchmarking. And USG does this as well with their benchmarking and standards.
That's for sure. You know, as I mentioned, we tried to pattern our reports on the GRI, so that's an example from our sustainability reports. But some of the other key benchmarks and standards that USG uses to embrace that concept of transparency, you can see some of the examples of that on this slide. USG was a founding member of the U.S. Green Building Council, and we provide many products and systems that contribute toward sustainable LEED certified buildings. We have a tool on our USG.com website that is our sustainability tool, and you'll find many of our products that have sustainable characteristics. We pursued what's called Green Guard certification for more than 300 of our products. That's a UL certified system that certifies that low or no VOC emitting characteristics of our building products. To demonstrate our commitment to product safety, we also embraced what initiative called Health. You'll see it there, HPD. It's Health Product Declarations. That really reviews all the materials in our products and provides transparency on any red list ingredients or other potential hazards. We do that in addition to the standard safety data sheets that are required that all manufacturers provide. And then finally, you know, we publish what are called environmental product declarations for many of our products. And we'll talk a little bit more about this on a subsequent slide, but when you look at life cycle assessment, which looks at the environmental impacts of products throughout the life cycle, the environmental product declaration is what you use to actually publish what those environmental impacts are. So we are very transparent, and the benchmarks and standards that are out there that we use really can make a difference and position us well for it and the information for our stakeholders.
Yeah. I think it's great that USG puts out this information, and that you all are so transparent about the standards and guidelines that you're adhering to, and so all of this is really great information, and we'll get into it a little bit more when we talk about, on this next slide, on the kind of the sustainability reporting. And in the research that we did, we found that all of our Institute companies routinely issue sustainability reports to the public. And sometimes this is a separate sustainability report. Other times sustainability metrics may be included as part of their annual report. Also, we found that some of our Institute members have released special white papers on sustainability in partnership with other nonprofit organizations. And Al, I believe you said earlier that USG puts out a sustainability report. Is it every other year? Is that how it goes?
Every other year. Yes.
Yeah.
One year where we had a change in leadership where we extended it a year, but other than that, it's been every other year. That's our plan.
Yeah. Great.
And then this slide here, we thought it would be good to cover a couple of the key goals that we included in our sustainability report. One was related to what we call developing responsible customer solutions. Another one's related to enhancing how we use energy. Part of our sustainability report shows our performance relative to our public goals that were implemented in 2010, which we call our 2020 goals. This is an example, and it shows that we have made the use of life cycle assessment to determine the environmental impacts of our products. Through 2017, we had already analyzed more than 65% of our products using LCA tools, and since then we've done quite a few more, so we're very confident that we'll be able to achieve our 2020 goal. The other thing that we put on here is, we have a published commitment to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions on an intensity basis by 20% by 2020. And I'm happy to say we're on target to achieve that reduction as well. So it is now the point in space where we're starting to think about what is our 2030 goals and getting those in place. Overall, this is a major initiative for any manufacturing organization. Right.
Yeah, and it's great to hear about the progress on these goals, and as 2020 quickly approaches, I can imagine that you guys are putting together a new set of goals for the next decade. So, yeah, this is it's great to hear about the progress in this area. Calculating progress and also charting that. A lot about that is to calculate that value for sustainability activities within an organization. And it's not necessarily an easy task, is what we found in the research. Some Institute companies have been able to do so directly or indirectly. We know that some companies like USG will calculate a return on investment for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, by comparing, say, the cap and trade offsets. Other of the companies that were involved in our study have seen a return on investment on things like upgrading to more efficient lighting or diverting waste from landfills and also increasing recycling. Another thing to remember, though, is that some of the biggest returns that you might experience are things that aren't easily calculated. So there are things such as shareholder satisfaction, having new partners or investors within the company, and also improved employee morale. Al is going to talk a little bit more about kind of this return on investment to USG for sustainability.
Yes, Joy. It really is true, and I really like your comment about improved employee morale. That really is something that people want to work for a sustainable company. I think they understand the importance of it, and they understand the commitment to it. So,
right.
On this slide, you see what we call USG's commitment to the environment, and we titled it Eco Blueprint. Eco Blueprint is our strategy that guides our sustainability efforts, and when we designed it, we focused on three main areas. Developing responsible solutions, improving the way we use resources, enhancing the way we manage energy. So if you can move to the next slide, we'll dig into each of these a little bit. This slide here talks about enhancing energy management. Our primary goal for 2020 is to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 20%. And we really focused on doing that in three ways, by using more energy efficient processes and systems, increasing the energy efficiency of overall of our systems, implementing low carbon energy sources such as photovoltaic, wind, or whatever appropriate sources that are out there. If you can move to the next slide, I'll show you some of the progress that we've made. So this slide shows the progress on energy management. As you can see, this one's through 2017, and we were already down to 82.9% of our energy usage that we had used from 2005 on. So we made consistent progress. I mean, to accomplish that, there was a lot of work that had to be done. You mentioned energy efficient lighting, all different types of equipment changes, raw material changes, overall product design changes, transportation equipment changes. All those things had to move to be able to reduce our overall energy usage. So we're proud of the progress we've made, and we will hit our 2020 goal of reducing by 20%. It was a lot of work, but it was time well spent.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that thing on the slide that says approximately 98% of all raw materials entering a wallboard plant leaves as finished product. That's amazing. That's great.
Yeah. We do have very low waste to landfill numbers, and that's
right.
A lot of that is because we are able to recycle any wallboard waste in our plants. We put it right back into new products.
Yeah, just wanted to call that out just in case people missed it.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
This next slide, we also focus on energy efficient transportation use. Is this still on? Okay. Efficient transportation use through computer-aided loading algorithms that we use, as well as energy efficient transport, such as the EPA SmartWay program. We feel that really focusing and asking our carriers to have energy efficient equipment is something that's very important for us and also helps the environment as well. So we've embraced that for a long time.
Great.
This chart here, one of the things that we're really proud of is we implemented photovoltaic solar at our Planter City plant as an example. We've implemented it at multiple locations. But we put in 16 acres of photovoltaic cells, which provides about a third of the plant's electricity. As you can see, it eliminates 3,880 tons of CO2 emissions each year. So it's pretty cool to be able to do that and have our plant running partially off the grid.
Yeah, that is wonderful.
This next slide, so I mentioned we had three main areas that we focused on: enhanced energy management. This second one is improved resource utilization. And really, to improve resource utilization, we focused on three main areas. The first one is reducing, recycling, or diverting waste, and we'll show you an example of that on the next slide. Also, effectively managing water and other natural resource consumption. We all know about what's happening with water scarcity, and that continues. Aquifers continue to get lower. We focused a lot on reducing product weights, reducing raw material usage in products. We believe that using less raw materials and still providing products that provide the same value for our customers is a good thing. We use what's called synthetic gypsum to conserve our natural gypsum reserves. And then we focus, as I mentioned, on reducing operational and supply chain related emissions. And one of the ways that we do that is we try to source as close to our plants as possible, so that localized sourcing effect minimizes transportation impacts, environmental impacts that way. We also focusing on choosing suppliers that are sustainable.
Great.
This slide here talks a little, it gives an example of a project that we worked on with the Evolving Wallboard Systems group. And that group is really focused on creating new systems to recycle new construction drywall waste, bring it back from the job site, and create new wallboard out of it. So in New York City, you know, one of the challenges in construction is that waste gets commingled. So we had to develop a process where we could segregate wallboard waste, new construction wallboard waste, from other materials. So we ended up putting on specific ways to do that in each job site where we would have segregated containers. Then we were able to bring those back and strip the paper off of the material and then recycle the gypsum into new wallboard, and the paper was used for animal bedding. So that is something that continues to go on, and we're pretty excited about that process. We do something similar out at our Rainier, Oregon plant that has their own equipment to do that same thing. So it's something that we're pretty excited about. It takes a long time to build that capability across the United States, but we're starting it regionally, and over time that will continue to grow.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Okay. So the third area of Eco-Blueprint is what we call developing responsible solutions. And here we focus on developing products and services that contribute to sustainable spaces. We believe it's very important to take a leadership role in responsible building. USG is active in USGBC, helping develop some of the lead standards, ASTM, ANSI, ISO, ASHRAE, all different types of building standards and other standards that help drive industry and help develop responsible building practices. So that helps put sustainability into everything there. And then I mentioned we focus on evaluating life cycle environmental impacts. And you can see here our primary 2020 goal of having life cycle analysis done for all of our 100% of our products. And the purpose is not really just to do a life cycle assessment, but really to understand what our environmental impacts and then how do we improve that. So we'll continue to, every few years, we do a new life cycle assessment and understand, continue to drive down those environmental impacts as we go.
Right. Yeah, I think that's really great. I mean, that you mentioned that it's not just an LCA for the fact of doing an LCA. That the point is to learn more about the process and how to improve. I mean, this is how continuous improvement occurs. So
exactly.
Yeah, great to hear that.
Yep. This next chart, I just wanted to show you an example in case people aren't familiar with life cycle assessment and the different phases throughout the process. This shows you start with the raw material extraction, go into the manufacturing process, you have distribution, environmental impacts in distribution, the whole way through where the product is used through that use phase. Then after that, it either can end up in a landfill, it can be recycled into new product, it could be reused for something else. All those different parts of the overall value chain are really part of what is included in life cycle assessment. Mm-hmm. And then an example here on the left you see is, we offer USDA certified bio-based products, and that's something that folks are looking for, to have that new carbon instead of the old carbon impact. Mm-hmm. So that's another focus area.
Yeah, great.
Okay. This next slide here really talks about one of a initiative that we were trying to do where we wanted to develop a truly sustainable product. That was our focus when we developed this, and we were really focused in several different areas on how we selected the raw materials to make it, really on looking at the suppliers to make sure they're sustainable, looking at our transportation energy reduction, and we ended up developing a product that we call EcoSmart panels. And these panels they use up to 25% less water and less energy in manufacturing. They have fewer CO2 emissions. They use less resources, lighter weight products, which result in lower transportation energy and less fuel. Basically, by focusing on sustainability and developing sustainable products, we were really able to make a big difference. And as you can see, it saves 4 to 6 million gallons of water per mill per year. So it's very significant, and if all manufacturers adopted this, it would make a really big difference over time. So we'll continue to drive that innovation and try to make a big difference via sustainability.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. Well, I mean, you've presented so many great numbers here on these last few slides, and it's really amazing and also heartening to see all the efforts that USG has gone through to be more sustainable in their operations, and it's great to see that these types of savings when it comes to emissions and gallons of water and fossil fuels. So this is one way to kind of calculate that return on investment with sustainability. The other thing that we had mentioned is at the beginning of the presentation is how does sustainability, I mean, not only how does it relate to numbers or just qualitative effects, but also how to correlate sustainability with safety. And just like calculating the value of sustainability, determining a direct correlation between environmental sustainability and occupational safety is not necessarily straightforward. Now, some of our institute organizations, they look to the results of, say, safety perception surveys, and they find that employees perform work better and safer if they are happy about working at a sustainable company and being at a place that is a great place to work. Al mentioned earlier in the presentation that it's improved employee morale. You can't discount that. It's people want to work for a place that cares about them and also cares about the environment. And at the time when we did this research, USG had mentioned that they actually view safety as a leading indicator for sustainability because it's really their concern for the safety of people and also the environment that drives so many of USG's sustainability initiatives. And I'm guessing it's the same today, Al, right?
That is absolutely true. Yes, it is clearly still true today. Safety really is our number one core value. That is, as long as I've worked for this company, that has been true, and I'm sure it will be going into the future. We have a true safety-first culture, and that really makes a difference. Here you can see if you look at the graphic at the bottom left-hand side of this chart, you'll see a page from our CAR that illustrates our safety performance and how much better we are than manufacturing industry averages. We are significantly better, and we have been year after year after year. And we're very proud of that performance, and we're very proud that people go home in the same condition that they come in the morning. That is our goal. We want people to always be in that position, and that makes us a fantastic place to work, and that starts with that safety culture at the beginning. Also, what you see on the right-hand side that we're very proud of is we were proud winners of the prestigious Campbell Award, recognizing our safety vision and our safety performance, our sustainability performance, and all those other things. So that was a very proud accomplishment is happening.
Yes, definitely, and definitely well-deserved as well. We're very proud to have USG as our coterie of Campbell Award winners. So yes, that was a really great moment for USG. Speaking about goals, each organization that we looked at in the initial study had their own mix of short and long-term goals for environmental sustainability. There's that goal to shrink environmental footprint by reducing things like greenhouse gases and VOCs, water usage, energy usage, waste to landfill, all of these things that Al has mentioned previously in the presentation. The goal to perform life cycle analyses, Al mentioned that as well, on all product lines. That's something that other of our institute organizations are also looking to do. Those are things to those things like greenhouse gases and VOCs, those are things to decrease. However, there are some sustainability metrics that organizations are looking to increase. So things like recycling, community giving, and also employee benefits. This is something that I heard when I did this research, increasing handprint. Instead of you want to reduce your footprint, but increase your handprint, which is the net positive effects on the environment and also the community. But Al's going to take us through some of the sustainability goals for USG.
Yes. This is not a complete list. This is just a partial list of some of the sustainability goals we have in place at USG. On the left-hand side, you'll see some of the environmental responsibility. We talked about energy reduction. Carbon or greenhouse gas reduction is a big focus for us. Increasing our renewable energy usage, getting rid of that gets rid of carbon, so that's a continued focus. Volatile organic compounds, we want to reduce the emissions of those. We have customers that are asking, believe it or not, for gluten-free wallboard. And that is something that we're able to provide. Whether people are truly that sensitive isn't up for debate. That is something that people do request. And then, we focus on resource utilization, reducing the amount of water that we use, reducing the waste that we create, using more renewable materials instead of, the new carbon versus old carbon, focusing on our transportation energy and recycling. And then on the social responsibility side, some examples, obviously to be accident-free is our goal. Employee engagement, that's a big area that we focus on and we track on an annual basis. We really focus on diversity and improving our diversity performance over time, and that is something that we track, and we publish diversity reports and those as well. And then the community stewardship point that you mentioned earlier, that is something that USG continues to focus on, and we have a lot of proud accomplishments there. And if you want to learn more about those things, you can certainly look in our sustainability report. And as we talked about it, it's people, planet, and profit. Profit doesn't go away, and obviously we look at economic responsibility goals as far as how many patents that we get, continuing to focus on innovation, and then overall economic performance factors that most folks look at, such as earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, or return on capital employed, or some of the other standard financial metrics that other companies look at. Mm-hmm. So, it is a partial list of our goals, but they all hit the three different facets of the triple bottom line.
Right. That's something that kind of immediately jumped out to me as you were describing it. That we're hitting that triple bottom line with these kind of the selection of goals that you have here. I also just find it fascinating that you're developing gluten-free wallboard. I would have had no idea that this is something that you guys would do. Yeah,
we didn't actually set out to do that. It was one of the benefits of some of our chemistry that we put in place. But that is something that people actually ask for, and we have to be able to certify.
Right. Well, I mean, just another great is always thinking about its customers and providing what they ask for. So
exactly.
Wonderful. Yeah, great. So kind of talking a little bit about the setting of these sustainability goals. When we did this research, we asked our Campbell Institute members, how did they go about setting those goals, and if they had any kind of pieces of advice for setting sustainability goals. And this is what they told us. One thing that a company would want to do when setting goals for sustainability is to perform a gap analysis, then kind of use this information to develop appropriate goals and timelines. Another piece of advice is that companies should revisit goals every few years to ensure that they're on track to meeting them, and also that they're still challenging. Sustainability goals typically involve the work of a dedicated team of individuals from different functional areas, so to make sure to involve as much of the organization as possible. And also, after conducting things like materiality assessments, teams should set goals with that stakeholder interest in mind. And also, don't shy away from contacting experts to determine if the goals are appropriate yet also still ambitious. Al can tell you a little bit about how USG sets sustainability goals.
Yes. So as you said, I agree with all those points that were included in the white paper. And the way USG sets sustainability goals is very similar to that. We use pretty much a standard methodology to develop our goals. We start with that materiality assessment, understanding what's important to not just USG, but what's important to all of our stakeholders. And that's key to have that true stakeholder analysis and look at all those folks from what's important to them on the environmental side, on the economic side, as well as the social side. And you have to make sure you keep all of those in place. Also have to have good baselines for each metric. It's hard to improve what you don't measure, and so we have to have those baselines in place. And then one of the things that we believe is important is where you can use science, where science is there that helps us determine how goals should be set, we should use that science to set those targets when it's possible. Otherwise, we really need to set those aggressive targets where the results matter. And then following up is clearly a key, and we do that through our sustainability reporting that we do on a periodic basis. And if you set the right challenging goal, the goals take a lot of work to get there. And by reevaluating your progress there, you can put additional emphasis or whatever else you need to do to drive towards those goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Well, kind of getting into the conclusions of the research and also of this presentation. So if you are thinking of some questions now, feel free to type those questions in because we'll be addressing them in a second. But let me just kind of run through some of the conclusions from the research and from the presentation. So, what we found here is that sustainability is just so much more than merely protecting environmental resources. I think that's probably the first thing that we all think about when we think about being sustainable. We think about being green. However, when Campbell Institute organizations think about sustainability, it really encompasses the effective management of business. It's the protection of the workforce. It's on improving employee well-being, developing that next generation of talent within the company, contributing to the community and its welfare, and also manufacturing products that are high quality and also ensure the safety of workers and customers. We also found that Campbell members really lead the way in reporting their sustainability and their corporate social responsibility metrics, being included on the Dow Jones Sustainability Index and also other indices like CDP. And improving their rank in each of those indices each year is a common goal among the companies in the study. And also, finally, our institute organization dedicated to discovering better ways to quantify that return on investment that sustainability can make, and also make the case to C-suite and upper management that sustainability and corporate social responsibility are just solid business practices to follow. So these are the conclusions that we came away with from the research. Let me turn to this last slide here so you can see our information. If you want to find the entire white paper report, it has a lot of other examples from the other Campbell organizations that took place or that took part in the study. And so you can find that white paper at the website that's listed, thecampbellinstitute.org/research. You'll also find a lot of our other research there on other topics, not just sustainability. And then you also have our contact information on the slide as well if you want to send us any questions or follow-ups. I will address right now one of the questions that seems to be most prevalent here, and it's will a PDF of this presentation be available, or will you all have access to this presentation afterwards? The answer, at least as far as the recording of the presentation, is yes. We will have that recording available after today, and having that link up on our website. And Al and I were just discussing earlier about making a PDF of the slides available, and we just need to go through some approvals through USG, but otherwise it probably should be available, right, Al?
That's correct. Yeah, I expect it will be approved.
Yeah. So we can send out copies of the PDF copies of the presentation. If you just want to send either myself or Al an email about that, then we can get that to you. So I think that takes care of the a copy of the presentation part of it. And then I do see some questions that are coming in here. Let's start here. So we have a question that came in kind of earlier in the program, but the question is, do the USG goals have intermediate targets?
So I guess the answer is yes and no, right? So some of them do, and some of them do not. It would depend on which goals you're talking about, but obviously, an example would be life cycle assessments. We had intermediate targets on to get certain product families done first, second, and third, and to achieve those in that order position us well to be able to get to additional product families. Part of the reason for that is what's available. To be able to do a life cycle assessment properly, you need what is known as a set of product category rules, and you have to have those in place before you can do a full EPD from a life cycle assessment. So we do. We definitely put interim goals. I think, and that's a good practice in almost anything that you do, is put those interim goals in place and drive towards those and track your progress each year. Yes.
Yeah. Great. Here's another question. Do you think that general shareholders of USG appreciate the focus and the spending on sustainability?
Yes, in fact, I'm sure that was the case. We are now a private company as we're part of Knauf, but when we were a public company, our shareholders definitely were interested in sustainability. We had many discussions with various shareholders that find sustainability important. As you know, there's some people that are sustainable investors, and they focus on investing in sustainable companies. So I definitely think that I'm sure that shareholders care about it, and it does drive their behavior on what companies they invest in.
Great. Speaking about the life cycle analysis, do you have a third party to verify the LCA results?
Yes, as part of the whole environmental product declaration process, when you publish those, there is a verification piece that you have to verify your LCAs by a third party. So that is part of the standard process in publishing environmental product declarations. So if you look at our website, you can look at an EPD, and it'll list the company that did the LCA verification. So that's just an important part of the standard process.
Yeah. Great. So here's another question here. What did you find, or what did USG find to be the most challenging roadblock in implementing your sustainability initiative?
The most challenging roadblock, I think, was probably the downturn that we were going through in the economy. That was probably the most challenging point. But that was one of the most exciting points as we developed this. Our sustainability program through the downturn, in the middle of the downturn. But obviously there's economic limitations and funding limitations, but all of those things considered, we're still able to drive our reduction in our goals that we were trying to reduce and move in the right direction and invest in key things like photovoltaic. So that was probably the most challenging point, is just the overall economic conditions that everyone had to endure during that time in our country's history.
Yeah, challenging time for all, really. I just wanted to mention give a quick answer to a question. So it's someone asked about the title of the report that I've been referring to. So if you go to the campbellinstitute.org/research and scroll down, the title of the report is Profiles in Sustainability, Business, Community, and Environment. And once again, that's Profiles in Sustainability. So you should be able to find it there. All right. Another question here, and I don't know if I understand the question, but Al, you probably will because you're the expert. So do you use a specific exiting approach for determining materiality or determine your own?
A specific exiting approach?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what that means either. No.
Yeah. Yeah, Kathy, if you want to resubmit your question or provide a clarification, we can get it to Al. Here is another question. So Al, you mentioned that one of your products was, quote, sustainable. So what criteria was used to make this determination?
So I mean, there's many of our products that are sustainable, so I don't want anybody to leave this conference call with that only one product. We set out to develop a product that was more sustainable, that used less water in manufacturing, used less raw materials, that had less environmental emissions, that had better overall formulations. So it was just the actual approach was to develop that sustainable product from the beginning. So we had a vision of what we were looking for, what we were trying to achieve. All those were aligned with our sustainability goals, and then we were able to develop a product that fit those objectives that we were searching for.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different way to approach to innovation and develop innovative, sustainable products. And that's
okay.
what we were to do.
Right, great. So I'm not sure. I think this might have been the clarification to that other question. So has the approach to sustainability changed at USG when the company went from public to private?
Well, I mean, we just went from public to private in April, but there's no question that Knopf, we're part of the Knopf group, they are clearly committed to sustainability as well. And no, our commitment has not changed one iota. We are clearly committed to sustainability, and that is still a key focus for us. So that has not changed. No, not at all.
Okay, yeah. And how has USG ensured that your supply chain partners are sharing and also supporting sustainability goals and expectations?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things, if you do a life cycle assessment, you have to get your supplier partners involved, as they have to provide the overall environmental impact data for all of their raw materials. So by doing that, we partner with them, and they do provide that detailed data on their manufacturing. And some of it is covered under NDAs, where the information has to be, pretty much all of it's covered under NDAs where it's protected. But you have to have that information to do a life cycle assessment, a detailed life cycle assessment. So by doing that, really we evaluate their sustainability criteria and see where they stand.
Right. Makes sense. Are compensation bonuses in USG somehow linked to achieving sustainability goals? And otherwise, how do you make operations focus on sustainability?
So obviously and I won't talk specifically about compensation here at USG, but I would tell you that people have specific goals and objectives that are directly linked to sustainability objectives. An example would be energy reduction. In our manufacturing plants, they would have a manufacturing energy reduction goal, and that would apply to each of our plants and the employees at the plants that have the ability to impact that energy usage. So it's clearly linked to pay in a lot of respects. Same thing, waste to landfill reduction objectives or other objectives. Those things can all be tied into your personal objectives and the objectives of our employees in our facilities. And when you cascade those goals down, you can impact that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. Well, if you all had questions that did not get answered on today's program, you can feel free, or I should ask Al, is it okay for people to email you with their follow-up questions?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, so you can see his email address there. It's azuko@usg.com. I just want to turn to our concluding slide here, and the reason why we're doing this webinar is because Al is actually going to be speaking for us again during the NSC Congress and Expo. So every year the Campbell Institute has a series of events that happen at Congress. We have our executive forum and our 2 workshops, A and B, and they are all going to be focused on the topic of EHS and sustainability. So if you're interested, please go to thecampbellinstitute.org/NSC-Congress-Expo. And I have to point out that if you register for both workshops A and B, you will receive a complimentary lunch. So if you want to take advantage of that, please go to the website and register. But anyway, I just really wanted to give some heartfelt thanks to Al for joining me today for this webinar and for presenting such great material from USG. I hope that you all have some great takeaways from this. Thank you for your questions. Thank you, Al.
Thank you. Thank you.
And yeah, and everyone have a wonderful and safe day.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this webinar. We appreciate your attention and participation in today's event. You may now disconnect.